We are getting old.
My dream is to be a pilot. I want to be an architect.
Surely just
You and I are growing further. You don't really talk to me.
Hi everyone and welcome. We're here with episode 6 of the One Degree Alumni Podcast. My name's Roger from One Degree, and today we're with Tyrone, a student from way back, I think 2015. Hey Tyrone, how you doing?
Hi, it's all good, man. I'm literally, we just talk about 2015, starting at Newman College, on the Saturdays. Reminiscing. Wow, it's been a long time.
It has. I mean, when you think back to that time, all those years ago, what are some of the memories you have?
The one main fond memory was the actual army, when the army person came in and was doing the whole combat drill as a training itself. We was doing the circuits, we had to pick up the tires and the ropes as well. But that was like my first real experience in how the national service works.
I remember that so well. It was so much good fun. And I mean, going into One Degree, did you feel like it was something you really needed? Did you feel like it was something you kind of, had to do rather than wanted to do? What were some of the feelings going into the program?
It was something that was needed to be done. It was like, there was a point where I was top of class, A's, set 1 for everything, and then I feel like I was just losing concentration going into it week by week because I wasn't really focusing, or I wasn't really understanding because there was other people in the class. And when I did join One Degree, it showed me that, there is time to make time. Do you understand? It's like there was a lot of help, support. That one-to-one support made it a lot better. When it was in the classroom, you wouldn't really get that one-to-one support unless you went after the class or you had the little individual meetings with the teachers itself. But I feel like One Degree did help when I was slacking a bit, when I went to like set 3, set 2. That One Degree said, they're going to help us get back to where we was in the beginning.
Yeah. And I mean, did you find it helped you across the board through a number of subjects, or was it mainly just sort of English and maths, or, did that have a knock-on effect to a whole lot of other subjects and just increase confidence all around?
Yeah, literally, as you just said, it increased my confidence, it increased everything. It wasn't just more like academically, it was more like how I should conduct myself as a person. There were certain traits that we should take in. Normally when I was going, it was like 9 a.m. starts. Obviously, I never had really a reputation of being late to school, but it showed you that there's a routine always in pattern. Even on a weekend, you should never expect to not wake up and say, I'm just going to lie into it, or, I've done all my work this week, so I'm just going to relax. But it's actually showed me quite a lot. And it's
I'm glad you mentioned the, how to conduct yourself and stuff like that. Can you remember any specific examples of those kind of soft skills, those life skills, some sort of lessons that you're still kind of drawing on now, that might have come up during One Degree?
So there was how would I explain it? So the relationship between the mentor and the student, it wasn't like it was a teacher-student relationship. It was more like a friendship-based type. How would I put it? It's like someone's taking their time out of their day to come and have a conversation with you. They don't necessarily have to care about, the conversation being had, but as long as you're taken from the conversation itself, that was the main point that I saw, because learning from someone that doesn't really know or benefit from that, it doesn't really know the limitations of having that conversation. Like certain people wouldn't really want to get involved to having a conversation with a random person, but like learning whilst they're learning at the same time is a major contributor. And then that showed you levels to say, okay, if I can learn from this person at my young age, maybe I can learn from someone else outside that I don't even know, and then learn different traits and different understandings, all like academically or personally, or all the soft skills that you're saying, so the communication, the transferable skills. You're essentially learning from them and they're learning from you. That means.
Yeah, nice. And then sort of as you got into the exam sort of period and all that sort of stressful time, did you feel like even though it was always going to be stressful, regardless of how much preparation you did you feel like it was releasing or alleviating a little bit of that stress because you felt, I guess, that bit more prepared?
I was prepared to an extent, but because of like the breakdown of it, during that time I didn't know that I was dyslexic. So going into it, my thought process for exams was, how am I going to remember everything in the space of however long I've learned it? And it was more of like, okay, take it step by step. I've got 1 degree on a Saturday. They're helping me boost my English and maths. Let me try work on my other areas and see what I can get from my other areas. And 9 out of 10 times into the exam itself, I was confident, but towards the end, I was like, did I do it correctly? And
Yeah.
that's the main focus that I took from that.
Nice. I mean, so let's move on a little bit from finishing 1 degree and the next few years of your life. What sort of journey that took. Talk us through about the years just immediately following 1 degree and what you got up to.
So at the end of 2015, I finished my GCSEs, year 11. Not the strongest GCSEs, I wouldn't admit, but if I'm honest, I've passed maths with a C. I got English, barely. Actually, I didn't even pass English. I got a D in English. I got a C in science. I passed my BTECs, and I failed RE. And yeah, that was really it. But moving forward from that, I went to college. So I was pushed in the path of what I wanted to do. Well, necessarily, wanted to be a pilot at the time. So I was thinking, what's the best options and pathways with the grades that I've got to become that pilot? And it took me a while, but then I realized there's like a vocational course that done biology, chemistry, physics, which is applied science, which is what I chose to do when I went to Richmond upon Thames College. So I done the applied science level 2 to get my English back, and then done that for a year, got my English. I got a B in English, and then after that decided to stay on the same course, but due to the distance of the college and where I lived, it was more than a commitment. It was like, I'm going to be late every day because of the fact of the journeys, the trains, waking up. It wasn't like my school was around the corner like how it was with Newman. I had to amend for timing to understand that, I've got to be here for this time, I've got to be here for that time. But at the end of it, I just said, I can't really get unfocused if I'm not always there on time, because I'm losing hours to learn, I'm losing hours to communicate with my teachers, I'm losing hours to communicate with my peers about the work itself. So I said, you know what, I'm going to leave it there. Then I changed college, went to St. Charles, studied business, and I got a triple distinction star out of it. And from there, I've just been, getting on with it slowly. Went to university, studied sports management. Well, at first I done accounting and finance, and then after that I studied sports management because accounting and finance was a bit not too hard, but it was like, without the additional support, it was a bit hard to understand and take into account what's been done and said. So then I changed to sports management, which is much more practical work, much more course-based, and after that it took 2-3 years and I still didn't finish because of the additional support I needed, because I wasn't really getting it from when I was applying for the DSLA or applying with the university to get one-to-one support from the actual tutors. But I don't let that stop the thought process of actually learning, because obviously you're meant to learn in general. I'm still learning up to this day. It's not like I've got everything behind my back and I said, yeah, I'm knowledgeable. I'm still learning knowledge at the same time. If I could go back to uni, I think I would, but I would have to do it more prepared. So I'd have to have that additional support and think about many other avenues of finding support rather than just using the tutor's utilization and reading books. But other than that, yeah, it was pretty...
that's amazing. It's a lot that you've crammed in 9 years, I must say. That's pretty impressive.
It is. Now I'm just currently just working. I work a couple projects within mental health. I'm also a healthcare assistant, which is like a psychiatric nurse in the psychiatric type. What would I say? Instead of pediatric, it would be psychiatric. Yeah, on the psychiatric side of the NHS sides. Yeah, it's been a lot since 9 years, but I think now is just, as you get older, you're just realizing a lot from when you were starting, because there was certain messages that you were told by the mentors. You know, when you get older, you're going to look back on this day and think, you could have changed it. You could have, you know, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? And yeah, that's where we are now. I wouldn't change it.
Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I wouldn't change anything from when I was at One Degree. Maybe apart from hanging around with loose ends, but you know, it happens. But what could we say?
Do you look back, you know, at that time, and do you draw on anything? Do you draw on any experiences or any specific specific points, or is it all just a general memory for you now?
No, I can pick up little salient points from like the enterprises coming in, doing their little guest speakers and doing stuff that was actually enticing for me. So like more than just the physical education that they do, where we wanted to play football at lunchtime or, you know, get that kick about, it was more about the classroom sessions that I enjoyed more, because I can remember, you know, saying, you know what, I'm never allowed to play football during the week, so this is the one time I actually get to play football on the weekend and still go back to do work. And it was like, you know what, I actually enjoy playing football to then go upstairs, grab an orange and my water, sit down with my iPad and do my work. Like, that was the actual one thing every Saturday I enjoyed.
I can still remember you guys coming back absolutely, you know, hot and sweating and everything after running around for your break and everything, coming back, and to try and get you guys all to calm down and get back to do some work was so hard for us.
Yeah. But I feel like that's one of the things that I enjoyed, because of the fact that, you know, it gave us that sense of expression. It wasn't like we were just taught to sit down in a classroom like we do Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or 9 to 3. It was more like understanding that people there understand that we're young in itself, so we're not going to be as focused as other people, but we're taking the time to understand that you're taking your time out for us.
So how, you know, looking back to where, you know, you were saying in 2015 that you were interested in being a pilot, and then you obviously, you said before now that, you know, you're looking into some pathways for that and everything, but now looking where you are right now, being in the sort of healthcare sector and doing the work that you're doing, how do you think that happened, where it went from wanting to be a pilot to where you are right now? And do you think there's going to be a time in your life where you might still reposition yourself to become a pilot?
Nothing's promised, if I'm honest. So for the next 5 years, if I'm being totally honest, I've been focusing on my community projects, building my portfolio in the community, helping as many projects as I can get off their feet. Like, we do a lot behind the scenes when it comes to like what we do. It's just so hard to talk about because of the extent of it itself. But when you look back on it and you're looking, oh, I've been doing this for 2 years now. Wow, I've actually put in a lot of work to what I want to get out of it. So within the next 5 years, if I say to myself, I've got enough saved up, I can say, yeah, let me try get a pilot license, or let me try work into the cadets, or let me try work into a network that would find me as a pilot. I've got 2 close friends that work in the BA, so they work with British Airways as engineers because they've got their aeronautical engineering degree. So they work on fixing the planes, making the planes. So there's avenues and there's networks. You know, it's how close you are with people and your connections, and how close you are to yourself to understanding your goals.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, I can say you'll know your journey obviously a lot more than anyone else will, and you'll know what you've been through and what's worked and what hasn't, and your ups and your downs. But from what I can say is, from knowing you 9 years ago and spending almost every Saturday with you for about 8 months, I think it was, you know, during your year 11 year, and seeing where you are now, I mean, it's an amazing journey you've had, amazing achievement, very admirable, the work that you're doing right now. And it's hard to almost feel proud of yourself when you're stuck in the middle of it, and you sometimes don't always feel like you should feel proud because you're trying to achieve so much and you're trying to work so hard. But from me looking at you, I think you do need to give yourself a pat on the back and be proud every now and again. 'Cause you've done well, and you're an amazing young man now, and you have come a long way. And I can remember your naughty days back in 2015 and trying to rein in some of your naughty spells and everything like that. But I'm so glad you stuck with One Degree, and I'm so glad you're stuck on this path that you are now. So you're doing amazing, Tyrone, and really, I think there's so much more for you to do, obviously, and really looking forward to seeing what the rest of that journey is going to be like.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's wonderful. I thank One Degree. I thank all the mentors that helped me get to where I needed to get to. I helped them helping me with my English and maths when it was needed the most. Thank you to all of the mentors, everyone there at One Degree itself that helped me through the times. It was more of like helping a wide range of disunfortunate kids more than myself. It was more like helping a classroom full of people that still didn't understand themselves or understand their goals in life, but still wanted to make something for themselves. And give thanks to One Degree for that. Yes, we've had naughty days. Yes, there were times of mad tribulations where people didn't want to get to do work, or they wanted to leave early, or they're just there for the pizza. But it all comes down to the conscience of what it was at the time. You know, at the time it was more like, we're young, we're just trying to get this done. Cool, I don't really care about the future. When you're 10 years down the line, you're thinking, oh, if I actually sat down that one time and focused more than ever, maybe that could shape the rest of my time there. Or maybe that could shape the rest of my life, because I actually took information in, took the time out to talk to my mentors, took the time out to talk to Roger in itself. I remember having more than multiple conversations with Roger on a normal basis, and it's just like, yeah. But thanks One Degree, thank you Roger, and yeah, that's me.
Oh, amazing, Tyrone. Great words of wisdom there. I wonder, just to wrap it up, do you have any advice for a GCSE student going into their GCSE year? If you can look back at it now, what would you say to that student, or what would you even say to yourself, you know, looking back at it now?
If there's a key message to say and make, then there's a key message to say for the youngsters that are doing their GCSEs at this current time in life. I feel like put yourself first, but also remember that you've got people around you that want to see the best for you. It's not always that you're always by yourself, or you're always in your head, or your family don't support what you want to do for yourself. It's more than that. It's more than understanding there's a system. It's more than understanding that there's a jurisdiction, or understanding that there's no pathway for you. You have to understand that when you do something, it's out of the greater good for yourself. It's not for anyone else, it's for you. If you're studying, if you're learning, if you're teaching, if you're qualified, unqualified, if you're trying to get into an apprenticeship, internship, you're going to need some sort of foundation. And the foundation is always given by the GCSEs. You know, that's the foundation that steps you up to be a teenager, to be an adult, to be a young adult, to be an adolescent. It all starts from somewhere. Just how you done your SATs, you got to do it again. But it's more developed. So you got to take the time out. You got to understand that maybe if I take 2 hours, 3 hours a day after One Degree, or even on the week itself after school, to just study, pick up that book and say, yeah, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take 2-3 hours out of my day just to get that done. So when my exams come, I could have a possibility of flying or passing with high grades, you know? Yeah. And, you know, you got your family as a support, you know, always ask them. You know, it's not always about the teachers or the mentors. If you have a good relationship or good rapport with your family, they could also be a good help. If most of them have finished their university degrees, most of them have their GCSEs, you know, you have that conversation with them, say, you know, I'm struggling here, you know, what can we do?
Yeah, nice. And then what about, you know, from sort of age 16 up to where you are now, is there any kind of bit of advice that you've always drawn on yourself, like something that you keep telling yourself just to keep you going in the tough times, or something that's a good life lesson that you can you think would be good to pass on to anyone else? Any words of wisdom you've got generally?
For me, it takes 6 months for you to see progress. If you start something with the idea of finishing it, you got to wait 6 months to see a result on that. From that, you got to take another 6 months to understand what those results are bringing you again. So really and truly, don't think everything's going to come to you straight away or things are going to change. Changes over time. And if you put a time frame to it, it'll never constitute to actually what you want to do, because you're always thinking about the time you're taking to do something. So
great words. No, I love it. I think that's a perfect place to end. Thank you so much for chatting with me today and sharing, your past, your present, and some of your ideas for the future. It's been great catching up with you. To everyone listening, this has been the One Degree Alumni Podcast. It's been episode 6. My name's Roger, and you've been listening to Tyrone, ex-One Degree student from 2015. Thanks so much.
Thanks
everyone. Bye.
Ciao.